of Boracay Island reopened for swimming, but only for residents. Now, with tourist destinations slowly reopening, officials are putting first the safety of travelers in the new normal. Let's hear now from Tourism Department Secretary Berna Romulo-Puyat. Secretary Puyat, thank you so much for joining us. So swimming is now finally allowed on Boracay Island, even it remains closed to tourists. Is this the right time?
Boracay is now classified as under moderate GCQ, meaning swimming is actually already allowed, 50%. But we have to remember that Boracay is still under the Boracay Interagency Task Force. And swimming is now allowed, but only for locals. There's still physical distancing, and there are only certain parts that they are allowed swimming. And before they can swim, the temperature has to be taken. And of course, we have to stress that it is now under the modified GCQ.
And of course, Secretary, we're now seeing some of the airlines resuming flights from Metro Manila to other GCQ areas and modified GCQ destinations. Are some of our tourist destinations already ready to take on domestic tourists?
Right now, since the NCR is under GCQ, only essential travel is allowed. Tourism will only be allowed under a modified GCQ when you are under modified GCQ. So we've been talking to the different local government units, and they are more comfortable when NCR is already under the modified GCQ. So that's when tourism will be allowed.
And of course, everyone wants to start opening up the country to boost the domestic economy. When international travel starts, Secretary Puyat, once again, which countries and markets will the Tourism Department focus on its marketing efforts?
Definitely, it's all. First, we will focus first on domestic tourism. Second, we're focusing on short-haul international tourists. We had an ASEAN Tourism Ministers meeting, and we're looking at all the ASEAN countries. So it's still for short haul. We're not looking at long haul first, because as we know, COVID is, we're still looking at how this will pan out. As you've said earlier, though we are under the GCQ right now, COVID is still there. So we're still working out how this new normal will be.
That's true. And of course, speaking to tourism experts, Secretary Puyat, it will take until mid-2021 for the industry to get back on its feet again. Do you think that tourism arrivals will show healthy numbers again that we saw in 2019?
It will definitely take time before we can get back to what our targets were. Like last 2019, we reached 8.3 million tourists. Even last January, we were 8.8%. There was an 8.8 increase. But of course, COVID is new. There's really no timeline. But you know what? The Filipinos are resilient. We're now working on modified GCQ. We will still work on domestic tourism. And after that, we will work on the ASEAN. So it will not stop the Department of Tourism from promoting, because 5.4 million people are employed by tourism.
That's
so
right.
It's quite important for us to start slow but sure.
And of course, that is also the main concern, Secretary Puyat, of local travel agencies and tour operators. They are part of the SMMEs. Do you think they'll be able to survive this crisis, considering that tourism has been at a standstill for 3 months?
Yes. That's why we are quite happy that finally a lot of our tourist spots are now under a modified GCQ. But we also have the Department of Finance, which they have a small wage subsidy program, which was able to help about 630,000 of our tourism stakeholders. But still, this is not enough. Currently now in the Senate, we are working with Senator Sonny Angara for a 10 billion stimulus program, so that we can help our tourism stakeholders right now with zero interest loans.
And that is
So
the
we're
hope.
hoping this will be passed, yes.
We hope that this money will be able to help the domestic tourism industry and the
Definitely.
local travel agencies and tour operators. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you very
on the
much.
program. Secretary Berna Romulo-Puyat from the Department of Tourism. And that's it for